So welcome everybody, thank you for showing up to the community meeting. Today is the topic of cultural appropriation. We have two guests, one on my left is Julia. She is studying African science on the Humboldt-Universität here in Berlin, and she's Anti-Diskriminierungsbeauftragte, Antirassismusbeauftragte.
Ich bin Referentin für Antirassismus im Referat in der HU.
Yeah, so this basically means if somebody from the students at the HU has a topic with anybody in the university about discrimination on a racist issue, they can come to her and she will advise them and forward it to the upper people, like presidents and university people, yes. And to my right I have Elisabeth. She's studying cultural science on the Aldrin, which is in Frankfurt-Oder, Europa-Universität. She's already doing her master's degree, and she has a interkulturelle Trainerausbildung. Yes, so this basically means we did a course in the university together to train other students on how to behave in a
sensitive intercultural settings.
Yes, so we do workshops on how to be sensible on the intercultural issues, the communication between cultures, yes. And we have a definition to go up front that everybody knows what cultural appropriation is, what we are talking about. And I will just pass the mic to Julia. Yeah, exactly. One thing up front, because this topic can also get really hot. I would like to ask everybody to be kind, and if you have critics, just do it on the topic and not on the personal issue. And I would really love everybody to respect this. And everybody's welcome to join the discussion and say something afterwards and bring your thoughts in. Welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so I will start with the basic definition. It's in German. I will try to translate it into English, so maybe I will just do one sentence German-English. Kulturelle Aneignung ist ein Vorgang der einseitigen Übernahme von Kulturfragmenten durch Angehörige einer Dominanzkultur, wodurch ursprüngliche Bedeutungsgebungen, Symbolgehalte und inhaltliche Bezugnahmen der vereinnahmten Kultur verflacht, verfälscht oder verzerrt werden, was bis zu kulturellen und als eigen deklarierten Neuschreibungen führen kann. Bei kultureller Aneignung geht es immer um Macht und ungleichberechtigte kulturelle Zugangsbedingungen. Um kulturelle Aneignung handelt es sich immer dann, wenn die aneignende Person einer Kultur angehört, die gegenüber der angeeigneten Kultur dominant ist. So I will try to make that short in English. So cultural appropriation is a process of taking over fragments of another culture from people who are part of a dominant culture. So the basic meaning or symbol or content of the appropriated culture will be changed or pictured differently, which can lead to like a new way of seeing things. Yeah, I think we will go on this topic later. So cultural appropriation always means goes together with power and an injustice participation. Yes, and it means that the person appropriating one culture is part of a dominant culture. So the culture which is appropriated will have like how you say will have a lower value. Yes.
Yeah, I just have to add one thing about taking one thing out of the context of a culture. I think it's an important issue on this topic, because not the whole culture is transported in a new way, that in a way it's appreciated, but it's just taken out of the context and made into something different, and loses the original meaning of the culture that was that it was taken from. And yeah, we had this discussion also before in our personal context, and also in a group of many women, and we had the difference between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation, which is also like, okay, we are talking about dominant cultures and so, but not everybody is like doing this intentionally to destroy or to take out parts of one culture and transfer it into something else. So we have to also like the lines between this appreciation and appropriation is very fine. Like we have to set our individual selves to where we take the line. There's one question.
First, okay, there's a situation right now with Lion King, right?
Okay, I think for the recording.
So there's a situation happening now where the Lion King, the theme song was actually originated in Africa. I won't go into details, right? It became an American thing. Now the Lion King. Most times cultural appropriation is for monetary benefit. What you said about cultural appreciation is that we hear because we appreciate the culture. There's a certain line when, the same Lion King, where you don't get credit for your work, so you don't get paid for your work, which is intellectual property. So this guy who created the Lion King theme or song, it was told blatantly, no, in any culture, you always take from other cultures and modify it. Back in the day it was jazz, and even with jazz, it always grows. So if we bring reggae music to Germany, or soca music, and the German dominant group or culture, which is mostly Germans, add their flavor, there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem with cultural appropriation is another word for stealing. It's just a nice way of saying stealing. You steal when you don't get recognition for your intellectual property, financial compensation for your intellectual property. So therefore, if I created something here and somebody used a voice recorder without my permission and recorded it, go and recreated it, go to the club in the back, charge 10 euros to get in there, you have 500 people, I get nothing from it. That is a perfect example of cultural appropriation. I'll make it short lasting. I was in a festival last time that had my flag, Trinidad and Tobago, all over in the dirt, literally in the mud, because there was a lot of mud. The LC Reggae Jam. With my flag, now I love my country, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. Now I see people, when I speak to them, they have a basic knowledge of Trinidad and Tobago. They don't know about Trinidad and Tobago, they saw it on the internet. The way they speak to me, I could tell they don't know a lot of stuff. They use a flag, but to sell the product, because they themselves don't look authentic. So they use a flag to add some authenticity. I'm from Trinidad, you don't see me with a Trinidad flag, and you don't see me trying stuff. So what happens now, this last thing, is when you do that, they project. This guy has a marijuana thing on his head, on his hat. Jamaica is not just about marijuana. Black culture is not about marijuana. I used to be a cop. I don't smoke marijuana. Is it a good thing or bad thing? It doesn't matter. So you find out people take these imageries, like me wearing a leather pants and drink beer and eat schnitzel and say I'm German and hold a German flag. It doesn't make me German. I just take these, and this is what cultural appropriation, in my opinion, is. So.
Thank you very much, David. I think you said very important points also. One thing we had up front was the financial thing that you mentioned. That I think the carnival would. You want?
Yes, I have a question because in the last years Caribbean Carnival got more popular in Germany. Here are groups like Carnival Fever, Carnival Explosion, and how do you see it, or yeah, what do you think about it?
So I've been telling my wife happens to be German. Juve, Carnival is originally was supposed to be, it's from slave African culture, right? They charge for Juve here. Juve is free in Trinidad because it's for the people. Juve is where you come out in the morning and you do, it's hard to explain. It's actually, we call it devil mass. It's supposed to be not Christian-like, where people wear horns and they wear clothes. They throw paint and powder, we call it, right? And powder and tar and stuff. It's just a way to free up. Now, but it's supposed to be spontaneous. It's a spontaneous thing that people come, I can tell you, you need to move your leg like this and dance like this. It's not like, let's practice these moves. It's something spontaneous. It's something that where you take a whole flywheel and you beat it. It's nothing to create something that happens spontaneously. Here they charge for it. They charge you for paint and they throw it on you, which is manufactured. And you have to pay it. So it loses the spontaneity, it loses the magic. Because it's manufactured. My opinion with this stuff, a lot of this stuff is manufactured. I don't go to it. I don't go to Carnival Fever. Nobody would ask me, and they know I'm from Trinidad. I've been here for years. They wouldn't ask me because they don't want to hear what I have to say. Because it would undo everything that they believe in, and they did not become not authentic at that point.
Yes, thank you. Just to mention for the people who are not here, David, thank you again. You are a DJ here, and you are from Trinidad and Tobago, how you mentioned. Thank you for your input, and the DJ want to say something.
Excuse me, first of all, my name is Andres from Brazil. Sorry for the cap, it's right. I discuss a lot in the ONG. I work in ONG in Brazil. Fortunately and unfortunately, I use sometimes this because I help children in my country to get extractions, to get less sick. And you are right, all the time the people look sometimes for this, they think that's something from another culture, or a figure, or put some picture in their mind and fix some African, Jamaican culture that doesn't have a relation, because this is a sagrado, divino, very special for us in Brazil, because we treat nowadays. But you are right, here I receive a lot of criticism when I use this, because remember when I was young, now I'm 32, and when I was young I started to experiment with things and we put some pictures, it's feel different in the middle of society, but nowadays I try to bring people to ask why you're using it, and I try to explain, because I really believe in this plant. There's a cure potential that the pharmacy in my country, it's killing the people, you know. So, but you are right, and you are giving me another ideas too. Thank you so much. And sorry, by the way.
Nothing to be sorry. No. Yeah, I think it's very interesting, because now we come again also to the point of saying where we are from and why we are here, and so, and we had this also. Like why many people ask where you from, if you don't look, if you are in Germany and you don't look like a German, supposed to be looking like, however this should be. You get asked a lot like where are you from, and then you say okay, I'm from Munich, and then they ask, yeah, but where are your parents from, and it goes on. So I was, I think also it has to do something with this cultural thing, because now we are here in the YAM and we move in an international community where like everybody is coming from different places. Like Elisabeth is from, where are you from?
I'm from Berlin, but I'm half German, half Greek.
So she's Greek. So they have also in with Europe like this kind of hierarchy, like where are you from, and they have all these stereotype jokes and so on about different countries. And I think it's to come back to the definition that we had before. It's very important to always see what hierarchy comes with these questions and with the accusation of cultural appropriation, because I was asked also many times, like, why I mention this. Why I mention this topic. Even here in the YAM, we are all playing reggae music, we love it. Why we have to now talk about cultural appropriation? Because one love, happiness. So I don't know, what do you think, Julia?
Yeah, I think especially in YAM it's an important topic, because as soon as you come to an international community, it gets the feeling that everybody is so open and just the culture is getting mixed. And but we cannot forget that there is a history in the past. We cannot forget that black people were being enslaved, were being killed. I think it's an important part to see the history until we get to this point of globalization, because the power structures that were built up back then, they still exist today. And even if we are well-intended and open-minded, sometimes we cross lines, boundaries of other people, where other people feel hurt. Like what you said with this, where are you coming from? Like, for black people, it's a thing we already know. We don't look German. Like, we are getting asked all the time, we are not part of the white society here, but we are still German. So I think it's important that to understand that, for example, for a person that grew up wearing hair like our hair is, we already are used to the question, like, or people want to touch your hair or something like this. Then sometimes we get told, like, an afro is unprofessional, you cannot work here wearing your natural hair. And then you see white people trying to take parts of how black people usually dress their hair, like dreadlocks, like braids, and so on. And I don't want to say, like, in general I'm against something like this. This is like totally not my point. But to have the understanding, to be sensitive about that sometimes people feel different about it, because they are used to people tell them since they are young, this is unprofessional, you know. And then when you grow up, you say, oh, why can this person now do it without being viewed as this? Like, there is one sentence, it stayed in my head for a long time. It's like, when you do something and you get an F for it, and then another person takes the same thing and gets an A. This is like, you know, yeah.
Es gab hier zwei Fragen.
Yeah, there were two questions. I think Jamal was before you.
No, it's not a question, maybe it's just like... well, I think also what is important, you know, with this thing is that you always have a personal level, which is like a microcosmos, and then you have a bigger level, which is a macrocosmos, you know, a bigger cosmos. And yeah, you have to find, you know, ways to get along. And I think what is really important about the issue of cultural appropriation is that what I also feel, if you do something, you know, which comes from a certain culture, you know, you have to give the respect to the persons who was founding this culture, was building this culture. And also, second of all, I think you should also get to know what is behind the culture, like to dig into the roots of it, because maybe the people, they did a certain thing, you know, with a certain purpose. Yeah, so maybe they developed a music to educate the people, you know, or they chose a hairstyle as a resistance against slavery and things like this. So the importance which I really see is or the problem, let's call it like this, is what I really see is when the people do things like